You are now rocking with the 3-yard play.
Right.
We just figured out a 3-yard play, fam. We're gonna win every time.
Yeah.
Hit that link with you. Come on in.
You're tuned into the 3-Yard Play podcast. Well, the only question is, does it work for you?
Trail got wings, bitch.
We've been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year. We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year. We live in weight just to hold up the trophy. Flag on the plate, cause them haters can't hold me. And one, 2-a-days and run up the biggest hill just to sharpen up my skills. They hit the scoreboard first, I had to hit them drills. Time I get around the corner, they gon' see my new wheels. After practice, till the lights come on, till they bust ride out and they gone. That rally had us help, my teammate down the steps. Player, we got plays you ain't even seen yet. I post up and fade away like graffiti. Just don't claim it's love when you see us on TV. We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year.
3-Yard Play podcast.
We been working
brought to you by reality.
all year.
Where it is, what it is.
Game time.
You get what you get.
We all here.
So comment and let us know where you live.
Yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year.
New Black Magic Jr. album, Riot's Work, coming soon. Featuring bangers like How Deep, Cursed, the Poland Remix, Rolling, and many more. Also be sure to check out the album, and Sleep Well, and Breaking Cases of Mercy.
Engineered alien technology that took the skull and bone silver first for all of y'all to see. Black magic in the flash, hacking through the algorithm, killing shit the best.
New Black
95
Magic
Bulls
Jr.
running full court press. Jordan back after getting shit off his chest.
The truth is the hardest shit.
Yeah, 3-Yard Play podcast. What's good? We back, y'all. We back. Man,
Yes,
2023
sir. In the
rolling
building.
on, man. What's good, Timo? What up, LJ?
Killing,
What
bro.
it
Happy Black History Month, fellas.
You
Kings.
already know.
Happy black.
Man,
Good to be black.
with that being the case, man, I want to discuss one of the young emerging leaders, man, of our time, man. One of the leaders of the culture for the young people, a brother by the name of NBA Youngboy. Cantrell, to be exact, man. I don't know his last name, man. I want to say it wrong. But, you know, NBA Youngboy is the king of YouTube. And, you know, the people have compared him to this generation's Tupac and all kind of other accolades. Although he's got a song where he directly goes at that, like, no, I ain't this generation's Tupac. I'm me. You know, I'm AI Youngboy. But the thing that really makes him stand out and puts him in the spotlight to me is that he has recently started to champion a Stop the Violence campaign, which I think is right on time, man. Far too often, man, a lot of the blogs and the news outlets want to highlight the young brothers when they in trouble, when they doing the wrong thing. But, you know, right now with him doing the Stop the Violence campaign, there's been some talk of it, but it's been relatively quiet, you know, compared to when he gets a Fed case or he getting into it with his baby mama, something like that. So I just think that's an awesome thing. And also shouts out to Kodak Black, because Kodak Black has come out recently also saying that he wants to stop the violence. So, you know, I think that's really awesome that these two young brothers, both arguably at the pinnacle of their career and really on top of their game, are choosing to make that decision, you know, at this point in their lives. So with that being said, man, open up the floor to you guys. You know, what do y'all think about that?
You know, I am first of all, I would like to say, you know, shout out and big to them making that decision. It's unfortunate though. I feel like it's always we always have to come out, I feel like, initially with the crap. You know, we had to come with the bull first to And even Tupac talked about that. You know, when he came up with Thug Life and stuff like that, he didn't really necessarily want to promote the negative aspects of the culture, but in order to get on the stage, that's what he initially had to do. And so I'm looking at, you know, unfortunately, some of these younger guys had to start that way as well. And you know, thankfully, they are moving on into a new position or new train of thinking. But it just makes me wonder, uh, from a standpoint, can we do this from the beginning? You know what I'm saying? Like, can we acknowledge greatness in our culture before they have to have a, you know, this life-changing, altering moment? You know, because really, I'm interested to see at this point, like, what is his sales going to end up like now? Are people still going to support this movement and get behind it, or are they still going to be stuck on the fact that he used to be this guy, and that's what they wanted to hear from him? You know what I mean? That's going to be interesting to me. But again, I'm thankful that he's making that transition, you know, to try to promote something better. But I'm interested because I had this conversation with my dad sometimes about you know, voting, and they get mad at who's in the office, and I'm like, really, they're a reflection of the people, right? You really mad at yourself for putting that type of individual out there. So if I put that connection to the music, I'm thinking, okay, are they really going to get behind Young Boy now? You know what I'm saying? Are they really going to say, okay, well, because he's saying that he wants to change into this new person and promote stop the violence, are we going to get behind it? Because I remember, you know, T.I. not too long ago, he came out with that album
Us of them.
Us or Them, and it's arguably his best album to me ever, you know, because it's speaking on things that we as a culture need to hear. Guess what? Crickets. Like I think he even took it down at one point. Like it wasn't even, you couldn't even go get it anymore. So you know, man, I'm glad he did it, bro. I hope some more artists do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad.
Man, my response to that, boy, it's layered because it's. Let me try and work backwards, I guess you would say, at this point, just so I can kind of get my thoughts right. When you mentioned T.I. knows, he's kind of far removed from a demographic that needs to be reached on that message. You know what I mean? Because he's older, and that's why I kind of jump back into today where I'm happy about NBA YoungBoy. But even in the same thing, I think you referenced like how do we start in one space and get to another. Is that when I listen to his song, you know, Stop the Violence, it pretty much spells it out. It's like, man, I came in this game thinking everybody was hard, everybody was this and that. And then I realized, oh, these just a bunch of, I want to say BANs and some PANs. You know what I mean? So, y'all, I'm just trying not to cuss too much, but some bunch of folks faking who they are. But once you kind of grow and mature in this space, meaning in this music game, and you meet more people as you get older, I realize, man, these folks fake, man. And I'm up here trying to live up to an image that doesn't even really exist, even in the people I'm trying to impress. So I'm telling y'all, this ain't real. That stuff, that violence, all that fakeness, even though I take acknowledgement for my role in it, in the words and stuff that I played, I realize I'm flawed. And I'm glad, to your point, he got there at an early stage in his life. Realized, like, hey, man, I'm promoting the wrong thing, man. This ain't what we need to be building our lives on, this message. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I took a lot of time to read up. I had to go to the lyrics on the YouTube just to kind of make sure I'm fully understanding his perspective, because I reflect back when we were growing up, and this is the part that kills me, is that we still having this conversation. It's taking our artists to kind of bring it back to the forefront that in our communities, man, we've got too much violence going on. We're not doing enough appreciating of ourselves. You know what I mean? And we going around just killing in the name of notoriety, getting lights and whatever it was when we were growing up, you know, just trying to establish some level of credibility on killing our own. You know what I mean? That shit is crazy to me. Excuse my language. I tried not to cuss before. Here I am now. You know what I mean? So the long story short,
I appreciate that young man for even bringing it to the forefront to say, hey, acknowledging his wrong, saying, hey, this is where we need to change. This is why we need to change. And now that I'm in this space, I'm all about that change. And I want y'all to come with me to kind of start a whole new movement. You know what I mean? And I can appreciate that. We need that. I don't know what the disconnect was from when Stop the Violence back when like Trip mentioned, these guys were in their primes. You know what I mean? He's in his young NBA young boys in his prime. Kodak Black is in his prime, and now they're speaking up. But we had KRS, we had like we had like a all-star cast of people talking about stop the violence in our communities. Then they came up with Same Gang. I think that was more Michelet and Dr. Dre, and it was all about stopping this Crip, the blood violence, and all that other stuff. So the fact that we like almost 30 years removed and we're still in that space, man, what gives?
Yeah, I think you know, it's almost like the Malcolm X bullet in the ballot speech. He told us this, you know, back in the 60s, and brothers are still working on just trying to implement some of those things, you know. But I think it's been a real conscious effort to influence hip hop in a negative direction, you know, through the years. I think a lot of corporate dollars came in and they got to see, hey, this is a 2-for-1. We can make good money with this, and we also can keep black people shoot in the dark, really leave more blacks off the cliff. Keep supplying that prison industrial complex, you know, just through the art at this point, you know. So I think that the young brothers like the Kodak Blacks and the NBA Young Boys, it's wild because we're in a time in which, based on social media and how much access we get to see of these people, we also get to see just how much tragedy and death they be dealing with firsthand. You know, NBA YoungBoy's had a number of people from his camp get killed from gun violence. You know, Kodak Black has been shot himself. Okay. And these dudes have had, I wouldn't be surprised. And Kodak, some dudes who were sniper gangs, some people from Kodak's crew have been killed. So, you know, I think they getting to see and just have to deal with the emotional aspect of it. Of like, man, these dudes kept it so real that it became a real thing to them. So it has to be doubly frustrating when you see like, wow, some of these other guys were lying or weren't even living this life that they arguably tricked me into portraying. And then furthermore, nobody's addressing the real depression and darkness I have to deal with just on a daily basis, in knowing that despite me being up by millions, my former manager got killed. One of my crew got killed, or my brother got this or that. And it's like, young boy came to this realization on house arrest. You know, so from all them blessings and all the things you have, you still recognize how, man, this behavior and these paradigms are so destructive that I can't even enjoy the money I'm making because I'm just got so much negativity and dark stuff around me. And when I'm real about what I'm putting out, you know, I actually am part of the problem, you know. So I think maybe LJ, you mentioned or you talked about the fact that it'd be nice to see those dudes or people kind of appreciate that on the front end. But I think, you know, unfortunately, and shout out to Ayo Conseco, man. He's a blogger with Ayo Nation, man. He talks about the different doors you have to come in the music game these days. And, you know, one of the most popular doors is that gangster door, that trap door, where you to get in the game, you got to come in with the bullshit. Like the people ain't gonna get behind you if you come in too positive. It's actually gonna be off-putting and offensive to them. So you got to get your hands dirty and come in like you the craziest, most, you know, just want to turn up and get active type of person to even get that groundswell of support behind you. You know, it seems like. So it's interesting. I do think it's going to hurt these gentlemen in some of their sales, you know, because you got a lot of people that are just there for the bullshit. So, you know, some of those folks ain't really, they could care less if you try to bring peace or not. They're just gonna go into the next artist that's, you know, turning up and doing the bullshit. But I do think both of these guys are influential enough and have both done enough real stuff that people have been able to see that for them to say it, it is gonna carry a lot of weight. It's gonna carry a lot more weight than Kweli saying it, you know, or like somebody that they know for peace saying it.
Yeah, I think yeah, the music or the industry has shaped a lot of the way people approach it, right? But at the same time, I also know that it has something to say about the people. Like, yeah, the industry can say what they want. They can say or try to dictate what they want us to hear. But at the end of the day, if we don't listen to it, they don't win. They gotta dictate. They gotta go with what is going to, at the end of the day, make them dollars. So if they know that, hey, if we pump them with this negative energy right now, and they reject it, no matter how much they wanted to pump us with that negative energy, they're gonna revert it and change it so that they can get their dollars. Number one. So it has more so to say, yeah, the industry's doing what it's supposed to do. But like I say, if you go to the woods and you get ate by the bear, hey, the bear doing what it's supposed to do. So the industry to me is doing what it's supposed to do. It's us as the people who keep saying, yeah, this is what I want. Don't give me the good, and it's a shame that, and I'm all for it because I'm a person who had to learn the hard way too. So I'm all for someone changing whenever they do change. It doesn't matter if it's late, early, whenever, as long as they do make that change. But I do beg to wonder if the circumstance helped him facilitate that change. When your back is against the wall and they really talking real numbers, as far as your actions previously will put you away for life, people have an epiphany.
Yeah.
Right. And when and in that and in that epiphany, they come to the conclusion that, man, if I keep doing, and they're going to be watching me for here on forever. So even if he beats those cases that he had previously, he is now part of the system that is going to watch his every move. It would be ridiculously, idiotic to continue in the path he was already in, knowing that he's almost faced life. So I think when you go through those moments where it's detrimental to your existence, yeah, you come to that realization quicker than someone who hasn't been touched, who doesn't know what the end result is of those negative actions. So not to take it, like I said, not to take anything away, because like I said, I don't care when you get it, as long as you get it. But I do understand that when your back is against the wall and you realize life is about to be over, you do come to the, okay, I got a choice. Okay. If they give me an opportunity to come out of this, I'm never going back over there because I know what's going to happen. So out of some of his, and he's in a good place now. He's in a good place financially. He doesn't have to make money off of the negative anymore, So I just hope that somehow we can start as a culture recognizing the good early and not have to force people to do the negative only to come back to the good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I'll be real quick because I know we run out on time. I want to paraphrase like a Jay-Z phrase. He said, I used to want to rap like common sense, but shit, I guess when he made that money, he ain't rap like common sense. You know what I mean? And so my only point of that is, it's kind of go off topic a little bit, but it's just kind of how I roll. Once we get an understanding of who we are and who we belong to as a people, as a person, as individuals, and then we're able to decide what we want best is the fortune and the fame, or have a more of a purpose-driven message to kind of transform the people, we'll never get there because the formula is the formula, to your point about the bear in the woods. If you want to make a lot of money, you got to disparage and break down your own people, because the people who are going to give out the money celebrate that. When that no longer matters to you, and it's about elevating and transformation of the people, then that's the only way we get out of it. And then we have to also, it goes into a whole nother area where we have to talk about owning our own labels, owning the record, the media. We got to control things, what I mean? It goes to a whole nother conversation. But just to stay in our lane, though, for this conversation, it's going to be tough, but it does take, at least at a minimum, from my perspective, NBA Youngboy, Kodak Black, and the brothers of the past who came out and just start telling, and the Goody Mob especially, CeeLo talked a lot about how the industry goes, you know what I mean, and how sometimes you got to throw it, and Lauryn Hill too, I think about she's got to throw a mother, MF in there just so the internet motherfuckers hear me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I'm just saying, you gotta.
Yeah.
Once that message becomes the norm, maybe we can shift out of it. But if you're trying to be a billionaire, that ain't even. Or you're trying to make a millions, you're trying to be big time. You want the fame, that ain't in the cards. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to tear down to make the money, because there's no money in being good. Because if we solve all the issues, then the people make no money. You know what I mean? I know that's what I said. I know we get a little deeper than what we're talking about, but there's a lot of money to be gained in causing chaos. Prison to school to prison pipeline, changing those mindsets where they feel like they gotta hustle and grind to make all the money and all this stuff, and we still building jail cells for those individuals based on that mindset because they're not getting the academics done, so to speak. So it's so layered, man, in terms of how we move forward. But I just want to make sure in the end, just say I celebrate those who learn. Like I say, once you know better, you do better. So I appreciate them even just listening and moving forward with that message.
Right. I dig. Dang. Just real quick, man, before we jump, man, I think it's also kind of testament to say that both for T.I. as well as NBA Youngboy, even as well as Kodak Black, they are all parents now also. And for when they started making music, I don't know, T.I. may have had a kid or two, I'm not sure. But for the most part, these gentlemen did not have children like that. And it's something else by the time you got kids now that's probably 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they can talk to you and ask, well, Daddy, why you say you gonna shoot him in his head? And goddamn, then you say we not supposed. And it's like, oh, okay.
Right.
Now you ain't just walking off, faceless kids off the cliff. These your kids now that you got to answer to. And you got to think, or you hear your son or your daughter singing Throat Babies in the morning and crazy stuff. Where you like, what the hell? Somebody got to put out something better. So I think it's also interesting that by the time these brothers become parents, they also just are forced to look at it differently as to what they're contributing for the youth. Because like y'all are the foremost tastemakers of the youth. So, you need to put something better since you also raising Black children. But overall, man, I just wanted to give them brothers their flowers, man. We celebrate y'all. And man, shouts out to Kodak, shouts out to NBA Youngboy. And I think that's awesome, man, that they choosing to push that agenda of peacefulness, man. That's what's gonna take us the furthest, the longest down the road. So
absolutely.
And definitely at the end of the day, let them enjoy their life, you know what I'm saying, all the way to the end and maximize to the fullest, their potentials. So that is awesome, man. Hopefully it's gonna lead to more artists, going down this same path, and then you may see a change in the industry.
And especially with the precipice and all that gang stuff happening, it's good to see the young brothers making a different decision. Like we see the writing on the wall. They gonna lock you up. You keep going with this gang thing too far. So
hey, I just wanted to send a personal challenge out. If you Youngboy, Kodak, T.I., anybody, y'all hear us on this podcast, reach out, brothers. Let's have some intergenerational dialogue, town halls with some of our young men, and let's have this conversation to talk about all the commonalities in these different generations. We don't want it to make it seem like a lot of this stuff is new to them, and we need to also, for my generation, folks, stop pointing fingers. We know what it is. We were killing folks over starter coats and shoes. Yeah. So let's not act like this is some new stuff. Let's have some life-changing dialogue, man. So we don't have to wait till our kids, we have kids, so we recognize that we have a responsibility to the kids and the people that exist on this earth today. Peace.
Hey, real talk, man. 3Yard Play Podcast, man. Y'all been rocking with us and we appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, man. Let us know your thoughts. And hey, if you can send this up the flagpole, man, send it that way, man. Let them brothers hear this and understand that, the streets is rocking with you. And we want to see y'all successful in your missions, man. Keep it up. Keep up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what they say, man, Yak Riller, all y'all sayings, man. Hey, does it work for you, man? 3Yard Play
work for you. Because that shit ain't working for me. So this
it ain't working for the community neither, man.
Stop the violence.
Stop the violence.
We love y'all. We out.
Peace.
You start with the reference to God.
All streaming platforms featuring hits like Young Jit, Doorway, my book of life, and many more. Follow El Bravo at Lab Tech Music Group. It's time.
Like a stowaway.
Baby, you out. Release me.
Just like
It's
a
stores
Nordic.
now.
Your homeland's far away. Take my hand and let me lead though. I feel like they wanna take me, baby. Get rid of me. Take a shot at the back of my head and leave me for dead.
El Bravo, release me. In stores now.
You see, the thing that separates us from every other group of slaves is the fact that
Thank y'all for tuning in today and every day. And remember to keep running your 3-yard play.
Look at them mouths, we feel like flowers, they gon' grow. We gon' water the season, watch that harvest flow. I've been crunching
Cause we know heroes are made in the off season.
There should be no reason
They grind the slow, better than crashing out
we
the
get that
dough.
money bound for it, we don't want it.
Let's say, young brothers, remember,
Don't fulfill the promise.
I ain't never 3 yards every day. They can never
I can't
stop.
read that narrative, so ain't no need of calling us. You ain't never had to tell your kid being black was a sin, cause his skin was reflected through America. Taking care of us was just a handout, right? But it was fair when free labor was just as nice. I can bet you your life, your kids living alright. Cause me and mine had to
Been
do
rocking
it or
with the
die every
3-yard
single
play
night.
podcast.
I get mine, yeah. You get yours, yeah. But together, nigga, we gon' get some more, yeah. Look at them mouths, we feel like flowers,
So
they
like,
gon' grow.
subscribe,
We
share,
gon' water
and
season,
let's
watch that
discuss.
harvest flow. I've been
What's up with
crunching
us?
numbers, winter, fall, spring, and summer. There should be no
Thank
reason
you.
that the baby
Tuning in
never
to
hunger. When
3-yard
we get
play
that money
podcast.
bound for it, we don't run it. I only
Put a
pledge
focus onto
allegiance
it.
to go fulfill the promise. Time and time